Hey guys, how you doing? It's I think it's the 20th of July 2024. So I know this video is going to come out several months too late, and I understand that, but I'm working on something right now, and I'm going to show you guys what we're doing. And for you guys who find value in this, next springtime when you need this, you just circle back to this video. Okay, I did one of these last year, but I have about 1,000 more subscribers now than I did when I filmed this last year. So the new subscribers, all you beautiful people, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel and helping me grow. You're probably not going to look back on content I made a year ago because you're probably following all my newer content. So with the project here, that's what we're using for our project. So I basically teach people how to grow food, and I teach people how to grow weed on my channel. And with all of my weed, I top all my plants and I grow them all in cages. Okay, so you've probably seen that in some of my weed content if you've watched that content. So I'm going to show you guys how to make one of those cages, because I need one, and I know it's 3 weeks before the plant starts to flower, but if I don't get a cage on it now, I'm gonna have to worry about all kinds of branches breaking when all those huge ass colas start to swell, and I don't want to lose anything. Okay, so I'm still gonna build a cage, and I'm still gonna get it on a plant, because where one of my cages was, the homeowner actually uncoiled my cage, laid it out in her garden, and she's currently growing cucumbers on it. I don't know what to tell you. I love you. You know who you are. You're going to watch this video and you're going to be like, that's me. Yeah, I love you. You can use my cage this year, but I need it back. All right, so let's get started. So this is 2-inch by 4-inch welded wire cage. Okay, you can get this at any of your home hardware type stores. Gardening centers generally won't carry it, but all of your Home Depots, Lowe's, Ronas, they'll all carry it. They come in 3-foot height, 4-foot, and 5-foot. This is 3. I wish I'd bought the 4. I've used 4 in the past. 4 is better. You have more fencing to work with your plants. Okay, so step 1, we got to roll it out and flatten it out, because we have to figure out how big of a loop we need. And also, I am absolutely by no means a safety Sally, okay? But when you start cutting this stuff here is as sharp as a razor blade, and it will cut the living shit out of you. So put gloves on, okay? If not, I guarantee by the time you're done this project, you're going to be bleeding unnecessarily. You're probably going to be bleeding with gloves on anyways, but just minimize, all right? Okay, so I can't tell you how big of a cage you're going to need, okay? Because I grow in smart pots. I have some in 65-gallon smart pots, and I have some in 55-gallon smart pots, and I have one in a 35-gallon smart pot. But basically what you want is, like in my 35-gallon smart pot, the ring almost follows the inside edge of the pot. You basically want these large, like at least minimum 2 feet across, unless you're growing in a smaller pot and then you can adjust for size. But you're going to want this at least 2 feet in diameter, because you have to be able to pull all your branches out, right? And if this is too small, you're going to damage your plants and you're going to be breaking branches. You want to support the branches, not hold it like a straitjacket. Okay, does that make sense? So basically what we're going to do is I'm rolling that section out, and I'm just kind of gauging how big. This is going in a 55-gallon pot, just so you guys are you're able to gauge by size. Nope. You know what? I just realized I didn't tell you the truth. These are going in a 65-gallon smart pot, which is almost twice as wide as that ring is now, and that's about 30 inches. So I think we're gonna go right about there. All right. So I'm just gonna hook that in. I'm just gonna hook that in for a second so I know where it's at. Okay, so as you guys can see, we have the long end pieces from where we cut it off before. So when we cut the next one off, we want to cut it flush. Gonna go with about there. Now you can use an angle grinder to do this. You can use something like a pair of pliers, lineman's pliers, because they've got a cutter on them. You can use something like metal snips. It just really just depends on what you have on hand and what you want to use. So I'm just going to go here, make that first cut, fold it up. And then we'll just work our way right across. I'm all hooked on the cage. All right, so all we're gonna basically do is we're just gonna now remember, this is gonna spring towards you and it's gonna spring away from you. So just watch where you're at. Because like I said, these things are razor sharp now. All right, we got her all cut off here. All right, so even though we have little tiny nubs on this end, that's no big deal. Okay, and that's what we've got left on the other side. So when we make a next cage, we have all those. And the reason we keep those is because that's how we close the cage. We just pinch that right over and it locks it on. So here is, see if we can get it close anyways. So that's basically the diameter of what we're working with here. We're at maybe 32 inches, give or take. And this is going to change depending on the size of your plants and the size of the container you're growing in. All right, so we don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about that. But the next thing we have to do is you're going to want 2 holes cut in the top about the size of your hand. Okay, so you're going to want to cut 2 out of here, 1 here, 1 here, and 2 out of there. You want to be able to get your hands into the middle of your plant because you're going to have to defoliate, right? When it starts to flower. So you're going to need 2 holes in the top, and then you're going to want 1 in the bottom down here, big enough to get your hand in, because you're going to need to fertilize your plant, and to do that you're going to need to get your hand into the center of that. Plus, when you're defoliating and lollipopping, it's handy to be able to come in from the bottom and work on that. Okay, so you can decide how big of a hole. And I generally do, like I said, I generally do a hole about the size of my full palm. Then I can get my hands in, and I still have all kinds of cage, because you use this cage, 1, to support your plant, and 2, to tie all of your plant tape to open up your plant out, right? With your plant tape when you're bending all your branches out for your low stress training. So what I like to do is I like to put my 1 bottom hole opposite the seam where this is going to close up on the back side. So here's the seam where my hand is. So I'm basically going to put the bottom hole directly opposite that. So I never have to worry about catching my hands on these. That makes sense? And then generally what I will do is I will put my 2 top holes in between the front and the back. So, you know, maybe at a 9 o'clock and a 2 o'clock or a 3 o'clock. That way you have, that way you basically have all angles covered that you can get in, okay? Now we're going to cut the opening here. So the seam is directly across from me, okay? So we're going to cut the seam. So we're going to leave 2 full sections. Oh, sorry, can't see there. We're going to leave 2 full sections at the bottom, and we're going to leave 1 full section at the bottom, and we're going to start opening it up here. So I prefer using these as opposed to these, because with these you can't get really close to this joint, but with these you can. It all just depends on the angle that you're working from. Get out of the way, stick. All right, I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right. So what you want to do is you want to cut as close as you can to the verticals, because after you cut them off, you're going to have to file them down. So the less work you have with the file, the better. So I find it's easier to come in on an angle as opposed to straight. Come in on an angle and you can get them closer. Oh, wrong one. Sorry, we're going up. There we go. And then we're going to come over here on an angle again. We're going to come up on an angle. Up on an angle. And then okay. Sharp.
The water slide is up and running.
So this is why you need gloves. Okay, so these nubs you're gonna have to file down. That's why you want your bastard axe, and that's why you're gonna need gloves, because this is the part where I always end up getting hurt. So get your gloves on. Now you're gonna take your file, and what you wanna do is, you see that nub right there? You wanna file that down. So one way to do it is take your file, run it inside, and roll it. Okay, roll your file like that. And then when you get it relatively smooth, come in with the side of your file and then give it like a circular shape like that. And that will basically turn it into like a round sort of mushroom shape that won't cut you. This metal is pretty soft, so it doesn't take long. But this is the important part, going around it with your file and rounding it off. Now, you can't tell with your gloves, so what I do is I always take my finger and then I check with my finger to make sure that there's no sharp edges. Okay? So you've got this one, this one, this one, and these 2 to do on this hole. So I'm going to do those, and then we'll do the other 2 holes as well after. The bottom hole done, and now I've cut 1 top hole and then 2 top holes, and I've already fixed up the bottom here. Okay, see, not sharp anymore. Don't have to worry about cutting my hands all up, right? So I'm going to do the same with the file on these 2 top holes. That's it. We got her done. See? Got this one in. They're all filed down. That's our top hole. We have our center bottom hole, and those are all filed down. And then we have our other top hole. Those are filed down. And then to clamp it shut, right? So we've got, kind of hard to see there, hang on. All right. So to clamp it shut, right, all we do is we just take these little tabs, we put the seam together like that, and then you just take that tab, hang on, just a minute, I'll get this better in focus. I don't know if you guys can see that right. So there's the tab, and we just bend it back around like that, see? And now the whole cages, and you can do every single one, right? You can also cut every second one off. Just make sure you leave the bottom and the top, and then you can cut every second one off. You can also, instead of having these out, you can cut those off flush, and then you can just pinch the whole thing together with zip ties. That's also an easy way to do it. And then in the fall, come harvest time, you just clip your zip ties and then your cage opens up. But the nice thing is, because this is a softer metal, right, at the end of the season, you can just lay this down on the ground like that. You can step on it and flatten it, and then in the spring, just round it back out again. Or you can just take these, put them off into a corner, and I've been using the same cages now since 2015, 2016, and they don't rust. You can just keep using them year after year after year. So you pay your initial investment, and then you spend, like this took me about 20 minutes to do, and I could have done it faster if I wasn't filming. So, and that's how big it is. See if I can balance it with my feet there. So that's how big it is. About 30 inches across. So there we go. And when I go to put this on my plant, I will probably film it so you guys can watch the actual shit show that's going to happen trying to put a cage like this on a plant that's like 5 feet tall and like 4 feet across. It's going to be special. To be honest, I might not even actually be able to get this on the plant, because if it comes down to damaging the plant to get this on or not damaging the plant, I might not actually be able to get this on, but I'm going to do my best. So I know it's late in the season, and I know this is not going to help you probably right now unless you have plants that are topped and you're like, wow, they're getting really bushy and they need some support. What can I do? You can build one of these, or you can wait for this stuff to go on sale at your hardware store, buy a roll of it now, and start making your cages for next year. Because if you're growing weed this year, you're probably growing it next year. And if you're interested in growing it this year, you're probably going to grow it next year, especially if you're watching my channel, because I'm going to teach you everything you need to know to grow it. All right, so on a side note, this weed cage was helped by Corona, because it's Sunday, and because it's gorgeous, and because I can, because I'm an adult. So smash that subscribe button, give me a big thumbs up, let me know if you're using cages like this, and have an awesome day, guys. I'll see you later.